Hi everyone, it's Dr. Lindner. We are still on muscle, and we're going to be talking about muscle histology a little bit. Be familiar with some terms. So, some of the terms that you're going to see are going to be endomysium, perimysium, and epimysium. And this would be like from deep to superficial, right? So endomysium is the smallest, perimysium would be in the middle, and epimysium would be most superficial. And just for simplicity, I'll give you an idea of how it works. So um, let's say these are these are some muscle cells here. Okay, here's one, here's other muscle cells. Okay, and let's say here's another here. Now, what's going to happen is there's a layer that's going to surround these, right? This would be the endomysium. Each of these circles would be an endomysium, okay? Endomysium. Now, that the endomysium is here and these muscle cells are surrounded, I'm going to take this cluster right here and I'm going to put a circle around that. And I'm going to put a circle around these and I'm going to put a circle around those. So those circles, that's the perimysium. Okay, I'll put a P here. That's perimysium. We'll put an E. Those are the endomysium. Now the perimysium, this group, is also referred to as a fascicle. Okay, so these two are associated with one another, the perimysium and the fascicle. So I'll put a P and then I'll put an F here also, perimysium slash fascicle. Then I can cluster all three of these in a group, and that would be the epimysium. Okay, so those terms are important. Then we have how is it that muscle, how is it that muscle is going to attach to bone? It attaches to bone by the periosteum. We did osteology already. We know that the outer covering of bone is the periosteum, and we know that the inner part of the bone is the endosteum. All right, so how does muscle attach to bone? Well, it attaches to the periosteum of the bone by way of tendons. Now, one of those tendons is going to be an origin, and the other tendon could be an insertion, okay? Because muscles attach to bones by way of tendons. The muscles contract, they generate tension, they create tension, they transfer it to the tendon. The tendon is pretty much inelastic in comparison to the muscle. There's not too much room or play in the tendon, and it pulls and moves the bone. Now, fascia is this clear, translucent layer that is superficial to muscles. If you're a carnivore and you eat, let's say, a chicken drumstick, we know that the chicken has a layer of skin, right? So if you peel that skin off, now you see the meat. The meat is the actual muscle. But what's superficial to the meat is this thin, translucent membrane. And that thin, translucent membrane is called fascia. And fascia surrounds muscle, it surrounds your organs, it surrounds blood vessels and nerves. It is a major um, it's a major tissue that helps to hold parts of the body together and keep things in particular alignment. So again, from this degree, we see those terms again. We see endomysium, we see perimysium, and then we see epimysium. We could see it from this cross section, and we can also see it from the cross section below. Here is the endomysium. Here is the perimysium. And then we have the epimysium. And here's that term fascicle, which is interchangeable with perimysium. Okay. Okay, so skeletal muscles are they're made of individual cells. These are called muscle fibers, and each muscle fiber is surrounded by connective tissue called an endomysium. A group of 10 to 100 muscle fibers surrounded by a perimysium, that's what we call the muscle fascicle. And a group of fascicles surrounded by connective tissue, that's called epimysium. Okay. You have the endomysium, the perimysium, and the epimysium. They all extend through the muscle and they join at the ends to form tendons. And tendons, you heard me say before, they're pretty much inelastic because they're attaching to the periosteum of the bone and it's going to pull on it. Whenever we have a broad, flat tendon, it's called an aponeurosis. An aponeurosis just means it's a broad, flat tendon. When you study muscles like the lats or the latissimus dorsi, and you look at the origin, you look at the origin, the origin of the latissimus dorsi, it's called the thoracolumbar aponeurosis because it's a broad, flat tendon. It's huge. It goes from the thoracic to the lumbar. So they call it the thoracolumbar aponeurosis. It's such a broad, large muscle, the latissimus dorsi. But the biceps brachii has one too. If you look at the insertion, if you look at the eye, if you look at the insertion of the biceps brachii, you'll see that there's an insertion called the bicipital aponeurosis, and that attaches to the radial tuberosity. And fascia, this is the term that describes that translucent sheath of fibrous connective tissue beneath the skin, and it surrounds everything. It surrounds your muscles, your organs, your blood vessels. One of the problematic features of fascia, many people have experienced this if they've ever broken, let's say, their arm or they broke their clavicle and the arm is in a sling or it's in a cast and their arm is at 90-degree angle and it stays that way for weeks at a time without moving. If the sling comes off or the cast is removed, the elbow still stays in that 90-degree angle. It takes a while for it to fully elongate because the problematic feature of fascia is that it's highly adaptable to the positioning that it's held in. So if it's kept in a shortened state for a month or 2 weeks, 4 weeks, the elbow won't be able to fully elongate without therapy to help it eccentrically elongate. Okay, good place for our next break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about something called the neuromuscular junction. So there's the teaser. Hang on for the ride. We'll be back after these messages.